Welcome back to another explainer here on Last Human Era. Today, we are demystifying a scenario that has completely captivated human imagination for generations. We're going to look at what an actual, scientifically verified alien detection event would really look like. No Hollywood fluff, no crazy sensationalism, just the fascinating, highly structured reality of how science and our society are actually preparing to handle the single most important discovery in human history.
Okay, let's just dive right into this. What exactly happens the day after we detect alien life? It's a profound thought, right? What if tomorrow, every television, smartphone, and computer on Earth suddenly displayed the exact same mysterious message from deep space? For decades, scientists have searched the cosmos for signs of intelligent life. But imagine the very first 24 hours after humanity finally receives undeniable proof that we are not alone. What does day one of first contact really entail? At first, the world would be absolutely overwhelmed with excitement, fear, and just endless questions. Governments would rush to verify the signal, scientists would analyze every single word, and billions of people would wonder who or what sent it.
To really understand this process, we first need to separate fact from fiction. Hollywood's version of first contact usually involves, massive spaceships hovering ominously over our cities or some sudden, dramatic hijacking of the global airwaves. But real first contact, it's going to be so much quieter and honestly a lot more rigorous. It's highly likely to be something like a 1420.4556 megahertz radio signal caught by a telescope in the middle of nowhere, followed by some incredibly painstaking, grounded data analysis.
Because this right here is exactly what scientists are actually looking for, a narrow-band radio signal. Basically, this is a highly concentrated frequency of electromagnetic emission. And you might be wondering, why does this matter so much? Well, in astrophysics, a narrowband signal is considered a technosignature. It just doesn't occur naturally in the random ambient chaos of space. Finding one is literally the holy grail of SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, because it strongly implies that an artificial, technological source is out there doing the transmitting.
Let's ground this in a piece of actual history to see how this works in practice. Take a look at this specific alphanumeric code, 6EQUJ5. On August 15, 1977, the Big Ear Radio Telescope at Ohio State University picked up a massive, unexpected spike in signal intensity. An astronomer named Jerry Eman was reviewing the computer printout entirely by hand, and the sequence of letters and numbers just jumped right off the page at him. In the specific measurement system they used back then, this sequence represented an incredibly powerful narrowband signal standing out clear as day against the background noise of deep space.
And the number 72 is deeply significant here. The signal lasted for exactly 72 seconds. Now, why 72? Because the Big Ear telescope relied on the actual rotation of the Earth to scan the sky. As our planet turned, a specific point in space would be in the telescope's observation window for exactly, you guessed it, 72 seconds. The signal's intensity rose, peaked, and fell perfectly in time with that window, which is precisely what you'd expect from a continuous, stationary source beaming at us from the cosmos.
The result was this famous, handwritten reaction scribbled right on the printout. Wow! Jerry Eman was so utterly astonished, he just wrote it right there in red pen, and the name stuck forever. But here is the really tantalizing mystery of it all. Despite decades of searching and pointing far, far more advanced telescopes at that exact same spot in the constellation Sagittarius, the WOW signal was never heard again. Just recently, in 2024, some researchers from the Arecibo Observatory suggested it might have just been a rare astrophysical event, like a cold hydrogen cloud energized by a sudden stellar flare. But whether it was artificial or entirely natural, it remains an absolutely legendary moment in astronomy. Which brings us to our next section, the First Contact Playbook. So, we've looked at 1977. But what happens tomorrow? How is the global scientific community actually prepared to handle a verified signal today, especially in an age of instant global communication? Well, the International Academy of Astronautics has a very strict chronological sequence for this. Walk with me through these steps. Step 1. Verify the signal. Do not rush to the press. You have to use independent observatories to make absolutely sure it's not a glitch or just some terrestrial interference. Step 2. Inform your peers. Let other scientists test your data. Step 3. Only after rigorous, undeniable confirmation do you announce it globally through the Secretary General of the United Nations. Now, before we continue, if you're enjoying these mind-bending future scenarios, make sure to like this explainer, share it with a friend, and subscribe to Last Human Era for more incredible journeys into the future.
Getting back to the playbook, this whole process is formally outlined in a document called the Declaration of Principles Concerning the Conduct of the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And I really want to emphasize the absolute importance of these guidelines. They are specifically designed to protect the integrity of the scientific process. In our hyper-connected, fast-paced world, a premature or false announcement could permanently damage public trust in science. It's really all about getting it right, not getting it first.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between the different eras of detection. The original protocols were written way back in 1989, where the primary risks were pretty simple: radio interference or a lack of verification. But jump to the 2026 updates. Today, the scientific community is terrified of entirely new things: social media storms, AI-generated fakes, and even physical threats to researchers. The modern landscape of information warfare makes managing a discovery like this infinitely more complicated. So, the 2026 updates introduced some highly specific defenses. The focus shifted heavily to peer-reviewed verification reports and demanding full data transparency across multiple geographical repositories. But crucially, they added provisions for institutional protection for individual researchers. The sobering reality is that whoever actually finds this signal might instantly become the target of intense online harassment or wild conspiracy theories. Institutions literally have to be ready to physically and professionally shield their scientists.
You might be thinking, why go through all this trouble? Well, let me read you this powerful quote from Dr. Martin Dominik of the SETI Post-Detection Hub. The question is not if, but when humanity encounters evidence of life elsewhere. Experts treat this not as some wild sci-fi fantasy, but as an inevitable scientific milestone. That is exactly why preparation, clear communication, and simulating these global responses are absolutely vital to our survival and unity.
And that leads us right into our next big topic: God and the aliens. Because let's be honest, discovering a signal is really only the beginning of the story. The ultimate revelation would trigger a profound societal and cultural paradigm shift. Religious beliefs, political systems, and our fundamental understanding of our place in the universe could literally be transformed overnight. You might be surprised to learn that space agencies are actively preparing for this exact psychological impact. NASA actually provided over $1 million in funding for a study on the societal implications of astrobiology at Princeton University. They brought in 24 of the world's top theologians to seriously gauge exactly how the world's major religions would handle the undeniable revelation of extraterrestrial life.
And this slide brilliantly illustrates the massive, human-centric theological questions that a detection would instantly raise. A Christian scholar involved in the discourse posed this exact, jarring question: did Jesus die for Klingons too? It sounds almost humorous at first, right? But it strikes right at the core of human exceptionalism. If intelligent life exists elsewhere, does our specific spiritual framework extend to them across the galaxy, or do they have their own completely separate relationship with the divine?
Public discourse and theological study reveal some incredibly diverse reactions to all this. Some believers would easily adapt, seeing this simply as proof that an infinite creator made multiple Earths. Others would face severe, literal scripture clashes, struggling to reconcile a six-day creation narrative with a universe teeming with ancient alien life. Some might view extraterrestrials fearfully, categorizing them as fallen angels or demons. On the other end of the spectrum, pantheistic views, which basically see nature and God as the exact same thing, would seamlessly accept aliens as just another natural manifestation of the universe. It is going to be a massive, fascinating clash of human perspectives.
All right, our final section: should humanity talk back?
So we've verified the signal, we've managed the global media storm, and we've grappled with our spiritual place in the universe. Now comes the ultimate diplomatic test. Do we reply? I mean, what if the message wasn't just a simple greeting? What if it contained advanced knowledge capable of changing humanity forever? As experts decode the transmission, it could reveal technologies centuries beyond our own, solutions to humanity's greatest problems, or even warnings about dangers waiting among the stars. Some people would definitely see reaching out as humanity's greatest opportunity for growth, but others look at our own human history and fear it could be a catastrophic trap. Why alert a potentially predatory, vastly superior civilization to our exact coordinates? What if the final line of the decoded message simply said, "We are coming"? Panic, hope, and total uncertainty could spread across the globe as humanity furiously debates whether to respond.
So the crucial point you need to know is this. There is already a strict international rule in place,
According to those UN protocols we discussed earlier, absolutely no response to a signal or other evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence should be sent until broad international consultations have taken place. No single researcher, no rogue institution, and no individual nation is legally or ethically allowed to just reply on their own.
This massive consensus rule is anchored in international agreements like the Outer Space Treaty, which actually mandates that space exploration must benefit all nations. Because think about it, any message sent back speaks for all of planet Earth and puts all of us at potential risk or reward. A coordinated global response is absolutely mandatory, and honestly, there is a profound beauty to that requirement. It is perhaps the one single scenario that would literally force humanity to look past its borders and act as a single, unified species.
We've covered the strict scientific protocols, the history of the WOW signal, the profound societal impacts, and the immense responsibility of first contact. In the end, receiving a message from another civilization wouldn't just answer the question of whether aliens exist, it would begin a completely new, wildly unpredictable chapter in human history. And if these future possibilities fascinate you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because every week we explore the most incredible futures humanity may face. But I want to pass it over to you now. If humanity received a message from intelligent aliens tomorrow, would you want us to reply immediately or stay silent and watch from a distance? Let me know in the comments.